It was a Monday morning, and I was running late. I had just dropped my daughter, Mia, off at school. She was in the middle of telling me about her science project, a model of the solar system she was so proud of, when I realized I was behind schedule. The traffic was worse than usual, and by the time I pulled into the parking lot of the building that housed my company, I was already 20 minutes late for my first meeting. I took a deep breath, trying to shake off the frustration. This was my empire, the result of years of hard work, sleepless nights, and sacrifices. I was proud of it. But that pride was about to be tested in a way I never expected. I walked through the front doors, dressed casually in a simple hoodie and jeans. I didn't always wear suits to the office, especially when I knew I'd be spending most of the day in back-to-back meetings. As I approached the reception desk, I noticed a new face, a young woman, probably in her early 20s, sitting behind the computer. She looked up at me, her expression polite but guarded. "Good morning," I said with a smile, reaching for my access card in my pocket. "I'm here for." "Can I help you?" she interrupted, her tone sharp. I paused, a little taken aback. I wasn't used to being cut off, especially not in my own building. "Yes, I'm here to." "Do you have an appointment?" she asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. She didn't even let me finish my sentence. I blinked, confused. "An appointment? No, I don't need one. I work here." She leaned back in her chair, folding her arms across her chest. "Really? I don't recognize you, and you don't look like you work here." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I don't look like I work here. I knew exactly what she meant. I'd heard variations of that phrase my entire life, but hearing it in my own company, from someone who was supposed to be part of my team, stung more than I cared to admit. "Look," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "I'm the owner of this company. I don't need an appointment to enter my own building." She let out a short, dismissive laugh. "Yeah, right. If you were the owner, I'd know. Now, unless you have a valid reason to be here, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." I stared at her, my heart pounding in my chest. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. I fumbled for my access card again, but my hands were shaking. When I finally pulled it out, I held it up for her to see. "This is my access card. It has my name and photo on it. I am the owner." She glanced at the card, then back at me, her expression unchanged. "That could be fake. You need to leave, or I'll call security." I felt a lump rise in my throat. This wasn't just about being denied entry. It was about being made to feel like an outsider in a place I had built from the ground up. It was about being judged by the color of my skin, not by who I was or what I had accomplished. Just then, one of my senior managers, Sarah, walked by. She stopped in her tracks when she saw me. "Mr. Thompson, what are you doing out here? The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. The receptionist's face turned pale. "Mr. Thompson? As in, the Mr. Thompson?" Sarah looked between us, confused. "Yes, this is James Thompson, the owner of the company. Is there a problem?" The receptionist stammered, her earlier confidence gone. I didn't know. He didn't look like..." "Like what?" I asked, my voice quiet but firm. "Like the owner of a company?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The look on her face said it all. Sarah stepped in, her tone sharp. "This is unacceptable. Mr. Thompson, I'm so sorry. I'll handle this." I nodded, but the damage was already done. As I walked to the elevator, I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me. It wasn't just about one person's ignorance or prejudice. It was about the fact that no matter how much I achieved, no matter how high I climbed, there would always be people who saw me as less than because of the color of my skin. When I got to my office, I closed the door behind me and sat down at my desk. For a long time, I just stared out the window, trying to process what had happened. I thought about my daughter, about the world she would grow up in. I thought about the countless times I'd been underestimated, overlooked, or outright dismissed because of who I was. And I thought about how, even in my own company, I still had to prove myself. But then I took a deep breath and reminded myself why I had started this journey in the first place. It wasn't just about building a successful business. It was about breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and creating a space where everyone, regardless of their race, gender, or background, could thrive. I picked up the phone and called Sarah. "Let's schedule a company-wide training on diversity and inclusion," I said, starting with the reception desk. Because change doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with moments like these. Moments that hurt, but also moments that push us to do better, to be better. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that no one can take away who you are or what you've built. Not even in your own building. Later that day, I sat down with the receptionist. She was visibly nervous, her hands trembling as she clutched a notebook. "Mr. Thompson, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I had no idea." I leaned forward, my tone gentle but firm. "This isn't just about me. It's about the kind of company we want to be. We can't judge people by how they look or what we assume about them. Everyone who walks through those doors deserves respect. Do you understand?" She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I do, and I'll do better, I promise." I believed her. But I also knew that this wasn't just her fault. It was a reflection of a much bigger problem, one that couldn't be solved with a single conversation. It would take time, effort, and a commitment to change. As I left the office that evening, I felt a mix of emotions: anger, frustration, but also hope. Hope that one day, my daughter would walk into a room and be seen for who she truly was, not for the color of her skin. Hope that the world would become a little kinder, a little fairer. And hope that, by leading by example, I could play a small part in making that happen. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just my company. It was my legacy, and I was determined to leave it better than I found it. That night, as I sat at the dinner table with Mia, she looked up at me with her bright, curious eyes. "Daddy, how was your day?" I hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "It was challenging, but it reminded me why I do what I do, to make the world a better place for you." She tilted her head, not fully understanding, but she smiled back. "Okay, Daddy. I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart," I said, my heart swelling with determination. No matter what obstacles I faced, I would keep pushing forward. For her, for myself, and for everyone who had ever been made to feel like they didn't belong. Because in the end, it wasn't just about building a company. It was about building a future where no one would ever have to feel the way I did that morning. And that was a fight worth fighting. Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.